different frustrations that they experience. Well, number one is they didn't I started Hello Prenup because I was working at a law firm and I was talking to potential prenup clients. And there were a couple different frustrations that they experience. Well,
Looking for a great car insurance deal? Look no further. For quality cover and affordable premiums, get a quote and see how little you could pay.
And what you'll see in the draft order is that it will be partially in camera. And the witness is due to appear on the 9th of June.
An arrangement has been made on the side, as it were, for appearance.
That's correct, Chair.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. The first and second respondents are media houses, and who are the private individuals who are third and fourth respondents?
They are each the editors of the first and second respondent, Chair.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. The following ruling is made. 1, by agreement between the parties, the application by witness I for his evidence to be heard partially in camera on 9 June 2026 is granted. 2, the testimony of witness I will be heard publicly via audio link, and his face or visual features will be concealed. 3, members of the media and any persons granted access to the proceedings are prohibited from publishing, broadcasting, disseminating, or otherwise placing in the public domain any image, photograph, video footage, or other visual material that may reveal or tend to reveal the identity of witness I. It's so ordered.
Thank you, Chair. May I be excused?
You are excused. Thank you, Ms. Hassim. Good morning, Ms. Selolo.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Colonel.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Colonel.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Before we start, there has been some rearrangement of your files. The Commissioners will recall that we started out with 2 exhibit files. More documents have been added. Now we end up with 3 exhibit files. But the changes have been made, and what needed to be moved from file 2, which was particularly full, is now in exhibit 3. But everything flows in order, and the index has been amended accordingly. So you should still be able to find your place, just to warn you that it's now 3 exhibit files as opposed to 2. Thank you. Colonel, and that goes for you too. Yesterday we were working off 2 exhibit files.
Yes.
Because more documents were added. We are now working on 3 exhibit files. So just so you know, when I say exhibit file 1 or 2 or 3, it's that you are able to find your place, okay?
Yes, Commissioner.
Before we start this morning with the rest of your testimony, Colonel, you and I had a discussion this morning, and you indicated that upon reflection, you thought it appropriate that you clarify either certain responses you gave yesterday, or to add to the responses you gave to the Commissioner's questions yesterday, and you had asked for an opportunity to do so before we move to the next topic. This is your moment to do so, if you may.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Chair. Okay. Commissioners, I noted yesterday Commissioner Baloy rightfully pointed out that Pangase's statement, together with mine, had the same names, the same designation of persons that were allegedly on the scene. And I don't think I did that answer justice. Upon reflection, I would just like to point out that on a crime scene, there is a scribe. So in this case, the scribe was Warrant Officer Mpangase, the one who was making notes. So what would happen is that when we are doing statements or now sitting down to discuss this matter, we would look at that scribe notes. So that would now have a list of who was there, the warehouse manager, her name, the relevant role players, the guys from border police, all of them. So hence, this is one document that would now be used by all of us with regards to compiling our statements. When we look at it, we say, okay, there's this warehouse manager, that's her name. There's the border police guy, that's his name. Then we saw a customs guy, this is his name. So, Commissioner, I just wanted to point out that would be the reason that it was exactly the same as Warrant Officer Mpangase's. But also, just flowing from that, I would like to add that there was no deception intended. And it may look like that, and I'm going to try and justify why I say that. I was the investigating officer that did obtain statements from Governor and Mkhize. Had I had an intention of misleading or defeating or doing anything underhanded, that would have been reflected in those statements that I obtained from them. My statements that I obtained from these relevant members was indeed a true reflection of their observations on the scene. So I just thought it pertinent to point that out. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
There's one more, sorry.
Please go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Also, Commissioner Baloy, I think it's you again. Commissioner, if I remember rightfully so, you queried the investigation diary of where Mpangase had initially written information was received regarding 27 bricks of cocaine. During the normal scheme of things, if this was an inquiry that was pre-registered, meaning it was not registered on the day, then it would have been a correct sequential, chronological, diarized sequence of events, meaning from the time you obtained the information, Captain Duma called you, this is where we met, it would have flowed in a certain manner. It's apparent that Pangase did not make those notes either prior to the operation or possibly not even on the day, or even it could have been after the actual seizure. Hence, he was now writing his investigation diary up, but working on hindsight as to what had transpired. So that would be a reason as to why he would start off with information received about 27 kilograms of cocaine, although, according to all our accounts, the number was only indicated to us much later or at just before proceeding to the depot. So I thought I'd just clarify that, Commissioner. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah. When we finished yesterday, I reserved a question to do with the diary that I had intended to come back to. If you're still going to be discussing the diary, I'll hold off for now.
We were still going to discuss the diary, but in a completely different context. So perhaps. But before you do so, I had invited the Colonel to make comments because he had requested that he be given an opportunity. And thereafter, once he's done with his comments, then Commissioner, you can put your question if you may. Colonel, there is another issue you also brought to our attention regarding an information note you had prepared, right? And the fact that your statement, the statement that you have filed with the Commission is overly brief. And you would have wanted to highlight once again to the questions posed to you by the commissioners, the detail that you had in your original information note, as you call it.
At GoDaddy, we know your website is the center of your online business. Help protect.
As I'd undertaken to you, has been added as part of the bundle. Commissioners, is CJC 270. starting at page 954. Colonel, have you found your copy?
Yes, I've got it here, Commissioner.
If you could just allow the commissioners to get there. And this issue you raised, particularly in response to a question the chair had asked you, when you answered the question about the reasons why you moved from the depot to Isipingo. And the chair said all the reasons you had set out are not in your statement. You recall that?
That's correct.
And that's
I
the
do.
basis on which then you sought to pull up this note. So we are at the note now. Kindly address yourself to the chair regarding the many reasons you provided yesterday in response to his questions for why you moved the operation from the depot to Isipingo police station.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Chair. Chair, I noted, and understandably so once again, that you did point out, I cited a whole lot of reasons regarding my thought process with regards to moving those exhibits, yet my statement only reflected one point. So I'd like to point out on my initial engagement with the evidence leader, I did what I called an information note, which was much more detailed. So if, with your indulgence, I would like to just read out that little paragraph that deals with what you spoke.
And what's important in your favor is that this is as far back as 2021. That's the date of the, I'm saying
Yes.
in your favor.
Yes,
In your favor.
yes, Chair.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Chair, if you'll bear with me, I'm not sure what page it is. I'm looking at my own copy here. This file is voluminous, I'm not sure.
Can you just tell me
954.
leaf number and I'll find it.
Yes, okay. When we had that heading, events at the CHC container depot,
No, tell me you are at the second page.
okay,
third
the
page,
first, second, third page, paragraph 1.
Third page, paragraph 1 that starts with, I consider possibly
Yes.
carrying. That would be page 956.
May I? Thank you, Chair. I considered possibly carrying these bags to a less congested area at a far end of the depot. In my opinion, the risk associated with conveying these exhibits to another part of the depot was greater than the risk of conveying the exhibits to Isipingo SAP, which is approximately 4 kilometers away from the depot. The depot is situated approximately 11 kilometers away from Umlazi, which is a high-risk area. I considered calling a tactical team to assist to secure the area, but decided against it as I knew their response time would be longer than I would have required. I also based this decision on the basis that the unpacking and counting at the police station would pose lesser risk. So it's just that one paragraph, Chair, that I wanted to allude to.
Thank you, Colonel. Does that save you?
I think it still doesn't cover the many reasons you gave yesterday, but I will leave it at that.
Thank you, Chair.
Before we leave this document, for the record, I think it's worth correcting. This information note you referenced, you
Yes.
prepared for purposes of developing a statement for the Commission. So it wasn't created in 2021.
No, it was.
I think the chair was under a wrong impression that when he said it's in your favor because it was created as far back as 2021. That's not correct.
I just looked at the date at the,
You
end
did.
at the end of that heading.
Now,
I'm
this,
sorry.
you
I'm
confirm
sorry.
that this is what
I
you
do
prepared
confirm it was done
yes,
about a month
when you're
ago.
preparing for consultation with the evidence
is
leaders.
Okay.
Thank you.
And can I just, to be fair to this
Thank you for the correction,
Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Rolo.
Sorry, Chair. To be fair to this witness, the other reasons are mentioned in paragraph 19 of the statement. So we only focused on the one reason in 21. Although rightfully so, Chair, the reasons he mentioned in his evidence are a lot more than the reasons in the statement. The ones he has just read from the information note, they do appear in paragraph 19 of his 14-page statement before the Commission. How far Umlazi is and the fact that the weather was not great and there was a risk of working in an uncovered area and the surface area was not sufficient because of the numerous other containers around.
Yes.
So to be fair to him, that is in paragraph 19.
Of his actual statement.
Of his
actual
statement before
Yes.
the commission now.
Yes.
So it's not the only reason.
And the point he wanted to make yesterday is that in finalizing his statement for the commission, he was of the view that too much brevity crept in.
Yes.
So what is in the statement, as I understand the Colonel, he stands by. It's just that in response to a question by the chair, he seemed to go beyond the scope of paragraph 19. And he wanted to clarify that those reasons were always there, and they are reflected in the information note. And he just wanted an opportunity to highlight them too.
Except when he tried to do that, he said it created the impression that he only had one reason.
Yes.
So I was pointing out that, in fact, in his statement before the commission, there are several reasons
Absolutely.
mentioned,
Absolutely.
starting from paragraph 19.
Thank you.
Yes. So we will catch you when we need to catch you, but when there are facts that are in your favor, we will mention them.
I appreciate that, Commissioner.
And I was going to comment, don't spoil the broth, sir. That was in your favor. Let's leave it there. Before we leave these questions of clarification, just please turn to Exhibit File 2, and I'm interested in, it's part of CJC 244, exhibit number CJC 244, and in particular to draw your attention to 656, page 656. And this goes back to the issue you wanted to clarify to Commissioner Baloyi regarding the order of events when you say in the investigation diary it appeared that you were aware of the 27 kilograms and the container before you actually got to the depot. That's what you sought to clarify, right?
Yes, yes, Commissioner.
And your position is that you actually learned of that detail at the depot.
Not at the depot, Commissioner. The 27 kilograms, the number was relayed to us at a briefing spot where we met Captain Duma, which was close by to the depot.
Okay, but you had made your way towards the depot, away from the home and office?
Yes, we were close to
Yes.
at a briefing spot, yes.
So I draw your attention to page 656 because that is the statement of Warrant Officer Mpangase. And if you go to 658,
Okay, just bear with me, Commissioner.
Geraldine? Please.
Sorry. I can't see the file. 658. File 2, she said. Yeah, 658.
I'm looking for CJC 244.
244.
Exhibit file 2, particularly page 656. You have located the statement.
And the page number, Commissioner?
656.
656.
And then I wanted you to turn to page 658, which is the conclusion of that statement. It appears to be dated 23rd November 2021. You see that?
Yes, that's
And I
correct.
say it appears to be because it's not most legible.
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. Now, if we go back to the beginning of that statement at 656, paragraph 2, my challenge with your explanation to Commissioner Baloyi is the same quote-unquote error appears to have crept in the development of this statement in November 21 already. Because Warrant Officer Mpangase, paragraph 2 says, in the morning of the 22nd of June 21, I received information from crime intelligence that there was a container possibly containing approximately 27 kilograms of drugs, cocaine, which was kept at Isipingo CHC warehouse, destined to Johannesburg. The container number was BEAU 5, and the detail, you see that?
Yes, I see that, Commissioner.
At paragraph 3, then, Warrant Officer Mpangase continues, myself, Lieutenant Colonel Jacob, and Warrant Officer Sibia, now Captain, together with the crime intelligence member, proceeded to Isipingo to look for the alleged container.
Yes.
So are you suggesting that Warrant Officer Mpangase made the similar mistake in his own statement at the time?
Commissioner, I'm unable to comment because it's not that detailed. It just tells you that he received information. There was a container possibly containing 27 kilograms of drug, which was kept at CHC warehouse destined for Johannesburg. We did receive that in the briefing. So he's not specific here, so I can't tell why he wrote it the way he wrote it, Commissioner, but I will still maintain the sequence of events as I did earlier. So I'm unsure, Commissioner, as to why he would.
I point you to this because I know that Commissioner Baloyi wants to engage you on the investigation diary, but we will have to flag this because I have questions to you regarding what is stated in Warrant Officer Mpangase's statement at that paragraph 2, as well as your statements, and we will engage later. But Commissioner Baloyi wanted to engage specifically on the investigation diary. Thank you.
Thank you. It's about, if you would go to the investigation diary, it is file 3.
Sorry, what number, Commissioner?
It's file 3.
File 3.
And then CJC 248. And then the diary starts at 800, page 800.
Yes, this one. 248. Right, files on.
As I understand it, we are looking for CJC 268, the investigation diary, file 3.
Page 800.
Yes, I've got it, Commissioner. Thank you.
All right. So you have that entry on the 23rd of June, and from what I understand, your explanation, your clarification this morning, this would have been entered after the operation.
That's correct.
Am I understanding you correctly? Yes. Now, in your testimony yesterday, there was discussion about, or in fact, your testimony was that when you left the depot, so you opened the container, you took what was in there, yes. It was resealed, and then you instructed, I use the word instructed because I don't remember what word you used, the depot manager that the container must remain there. It must not be moved.
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. But also you said, I think in answer to Ms. Sillo, you said there was no detention notice.
That's correct.
that was issued. That's correct.
Yes, Commissioner.
All right. Now, explain this. The decision that the container should be retained there, it should not be released to its owner, it is a big decision.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. It is not recorded in the diary that there was such a decision. So we don't have a detention notice, we don't have an entry in the diary that indicates or that records that the police gave that kind of instruction. Can you just explain that?
Okay, I'm just going to page through it quickly.
Yes, you can do that.
Okay. Commissioner, your investigation diary, yes, it is an indicator of what transpired in your investigation. It's more actions that were taken with regards to who did you call, where did you proceed to, your time, and things like that. Generally, a statement would encompass that type of detail as to further locking of a container and so forth. So it's not a hard and fast rule that would necessarily have to be contained in your C-clip, but it would have to be reflected in your statements somewhere along the line to show what happened to that container.
That answer cannot be complete or correct, because there is a recordal of an instruction to release. There is a recordal later in the same diary where you instructed or you cleared it for release. So that act, the opposite of the instruction to detain, is recorded. We look at your diary, we see an instruction to release. I expect that there must be an instruction to record, and I would be concerned that it will appear in a statement, not in a diary.
Yes. Commissioner, maybe I can say that Warrant Officer Mpangase was not as thorough as he should have been. I would do things like that. I diarize it.
Yes.
But just to add on to that, it's encompassed in my statement, the fact that we did seal it up again. And
Yes, no. I don't have a difficulty with it, where in your statement or in whose statement it appears. Right now I'm discussing the contents and reliability. Maybe let me put it to you that, again, it's a concern about the reliability of this investigation diary. You do record that you gave an instruction that they can release the container. So it is of sufficient significance. That's why you record it.
yes.
There is no record of a prior decision to detain it. So your explanation that, well, the diary doesn't record that kind of thing is not correct. The simple point I'm making yet again is this is another instance where the contents of this diary have to be considered with care or caution, because it is a recordal after the events. I understand that, day one. But two, it doesn't accurately or fully account for what happened.
You are correct, Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think we're not moving off topic, but slightly. And now we're interrogating your reasons for deciding to move to Isipingo. And one of the reasons you stated, or two, related to risk and space. Correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Are you familiar with the CHC depot in terms of size? And
PMD offers comprehensive car insurance that you can trust from as little as 620 Rand per month.
And you complained that where the container had been placed was between two other containers, correct?
That is correct, Commissioner.
And making operations difficult. Is it safe to assume that even if the containers are placed side by side, the door of the container is facing you?
That's correct, Commissioner.
So anything you take out of there, you will bring towards yourself.
That is correct, Commissioner.
If you look at these ones lined up, it's a different matter, but the manner in which they are lined up.
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. So technically, you don't really need the space. Yes, we're trying to do that. Technically, you don't need the space to either side of the container, right?
Yes, that's correct, Commissioner.
So the fact that the containers were lined side by side cannot be a basis to decide not to complete the search at the scene and rather go to Isipingo. The fact that they are side by side, that's the only point I'm making.
Okay. Commissioner, I think if we had to view photos of the actual placement of that container at the CHC depot, we'll see the situation was a lot different than what we see on your screen now. It was a much more congested environment. Even when you open the doors, if you had to lay those bags on the floor, the area was minimal. It was a much, much smaller area than what we're seeing on our screens now. I think the closest we're going to get to know what it looked like was if we look at some of those photos that were flighted at some point in time, but it was a much, much smaller area as compared to this.
Chair,
How much more congested can it be? These are not just alongside each other, but they are against each other. So how much more congested can it be?
Meaning, Commissioner, in front where you open the doors, there was of a container.
There was a what?
The doors of your container. I would say, now I'll be estimating, Chair, but maybe there was a 2 meter, 3 meter, or maybe 2 meters, just over 2 meters space in front of it, where there was, I'm not sure whether it's a fence or some kind of boundary type thing where, and then you've got an area that you've got your heisters driving up and down, you've got machinery moving throughout. It wasn't a place like this where, now that I realize it, it wasn't a designated area for an examination of a container. It did not seem, and since I was not familiar with this warehouse, I just let it slide. I just let them place it down there. I was not familiar with the layout, but it was definitely much smaller, much more congested. Than
The many things you are referring to, were they on the door side of the container?
Yes, if you open the door, Chair, that's what I'm saying. In front of it, maybe there was a 2 meter, just over 2 meter space, a little area. That is why I said there was machinery traversing around. It's a thoroughfare area. It wasn't a designated area for examinations.
Thank you, Chair. But you recall when we started this engagement, the issue was the fact that there were containers on either side of the container you were targeting becomes irrelevant.
Yes.
Because you can't access the container from either end, right? You can only access it from the door as you are facing it. So what you should be concerned about is the space in front of the container, not to the sides of the container.
Yes, Commissioner.
Now, in response to the Chair, you mentioned
the front is the door side.
I say that front is the door side,
Okay,
the part where you open
Okay,
the
okay,
container.
okay.
For purposes of engagement, I'll call it the front of the container,
Yes.
which renders the side and the back wholly irrelevant.
Sorry, repeat that.
I say, if I'm correct in my description of a container, that renders the either sides of the container and the back irrelevant.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Can I just elaborate why I mentioned that, Commissioners?
No, absolutely.
Just to show that even if we laid some in front of it and laid some of our exhibits on the side to start processing, there was no space in the front or the sides. I'm just trying to give the Commission an idea of the space.
In response to the Chair's question, you said where this container was placed was not a designated area. You recall that?
Yes, I
Yes, sir.
recall that.
And you were aware at the time that they offloaded or lowered the container that was not a designated area. By that you mean a designated area for purposes of searching the container, I take it?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. When you notice then that they are lowering the container at a place other than the designated area, why didn't you stop them and instruct them to take it to a proper designated area to allow you to carry out your responsibilities?
Commissioner, it was my first visit to CHC. I assumed that was the area for placing containers. I can't tell you why. It was placed there. It was high up on a stack. Maybe it was difficult to get it to the examination area. I can't recall now. But for whatever reason, it was placed there. I did not object to it upon opening it. And especially more in light of the fact, Commissioner, that we weren't expecting a quantity like we did. So for me, when they placed it, I didn't think that we're going to have an issue now of space required for processing of exhibits.
So you knew it was not a designated area. You are unfamiliar with CHC depot, and that is why you allowed them to lower it at the point that you did.
No,
But you already know it's not a designated area.
No,
You are the
Commissioner.
police officer. Let me just finish. You are the police officer in charge. You are the one who is instructing that that container be availed to you. You are aware at the time that where the point at which they avail it to you is not the designated area. And you shrug your shoulders and you say, well,
no.
my first time is CHC.
Yes, Commissioner.
I misunderstood you?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay,
I
please.
was not aware that this was not a designated examination area. I wasn't even sure that they did have an examination area until I heard Warrant Officer Sanders' evidence here.
Colonel, you are the one who introduced the notion of designated area. You told the commissioners that
Yes.
where they lowered that container was not their designated area. So you
Yes.
can't now say that you were not sure whether they have one to speak of.
Commissioner, like I say, I'll say it again. It's only when I heard Warrant Officer Sanders' evidence that I heard of the magnitude of the examination area and the space in this said depot. I was not aware of it.
Okay, now you remember Ms. Pile, who's the depot manager.
Yes,
You engaged her.
yes, I did.
You obtained the relevant documentation from her.
Yes,
She was present when you broke the seal.
yes.
Why, when you realized the quantity then, did you not close the container, instruct her to take it to a proper place that would allow you to carry out your work?
Commissioner, I'll maintain by those reasons that I did mention before. All of those thoughts that were running through my mind in terms of the safety of that area, the fact that Isipingo was 4 kilometers away, the fact that we had no exhibit bags or not adequate exhibit bags for it. That's the reason.
Okay, now I'll accept those reasons. You'll accept that the risks that you now enumerate apply to all searches of containers at the CHC depot. They would apply to the distance to Umlazi stays the same, right?
Yes.
The area stays the same. Are you able to explain why it is just over a month, 999 kilograms could safely and properly be processed at the very scene that you say was highly risky because it's closer to Umlazi and the like? Are you able to come up with a logical explanation for that?
Commissioner, 999.
Kilograms, yes, on the 30th of July 2021. You don't know of that seizure?
And which area was this, Commissioner?
It was at the CHC depot.
No, I'm not aware of this.
It's very concerning, Colonel, because we are going to deal with this. Considering the position you hold now as we speak, we are going to deal with that seizure, and I'm very concerned that you say you've never heard of it. You are the head of currently the unit commander of Durban COCIU, which comprises of National Priority Violent Crime Section, SANEB, and EPR. And you don't know about that seizure.
Commissioner, the 999, as far as I recall, was not at the CHC depot, but I could be mistaken.
Where was it?
It was at some other shipping yard, because I did go to the scene. But as far as I recall, it was not at CHC. I'm not sure if the Commission can indulge me.
Okay, I think I get your point. So you say I'm making the mistake in thinking that it was the same place.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I can't.
No, I'm happy to take the mistake and be duly corrected. So if I misunderstood somebody's evidence, I'll accept that. But your point is that that particular seizure did not take place at CHC depot.
Not that I can recall
Okay.
of.
I'll cross-check on that and I'll come back to you.
Before you
Yes, sir.
move further away, I just want to make an observation about something you said, Mr. Lo.
Indeed, Chair.
You said you accept the reasons. I just want to disabuse your mind, Colonel,
Yes.
of any possible misunderstandings. I hope Ms. Sildo did not mean that the reasons that she says she accepts are acceptable.
Yes, Chair.
That's something we will weigh down the line.
Indeed.
Yes.
So she accepts that subjectively those were your reasons,
Yes.
but not necessarily
say
that
that.
they
Yes,
are
I
acceptable.
understand,
I'm not saying they are not acceptable.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, for the precision. I was loose in my words, and by accept is I am not going to challenge you on the reasons that you put forward, but I too am not drawing a conclusion that those reasons are correct. That's what I meant, and the Chair was very helpful in that regard. So thank you, Chair. You understand my position, Colonel. You then move, you say, to Isipingo. I understand that there at the harbor there is a police station called Maiden Wharf.
That is correct.
Why didn't you move to Maiden Wharf?
Maiden Wharf has their own exhibits to attend to, commissioners.
As with every police station.
Yes, correctly.
So,
yes.
as with Isipingo as well.
Yes.
So,
if I may expand on that, Commissioners, I know I'm at the ground level calling station commanders, phoning the various police stations for assistance. And as much as witnesses will come here and say that we should have tried the nearest station and all of that, I think I highlighted with my Umhlali, the Simbiti case, the difficulty with regards to securing storage locations. And if I had to elaborate on that, it's because these stations know that the lab takes a long while to house those exhibits, destroy it, analyze it, but no station wants to give away the SAP-13 space, let you use the entire or half of the exhibit room. Because remember, more especially stations like Maiden Wharf, which is close to our harbor, they are the stations that receive bulk exhibits that are seized at the harbor. So it could be that they did have storage place at that time, but the reason I did not engage with them was I know that they are going to need that storage place, then they're going to call me to ask me to take away my exhibits from there, like I've had previous experiences. That was my reluctance. That was the reason for my reluctance in engaging stations, because past experience has taught me certain stations will assist, others won't, others have their own SAP-13 needs to tend to.
the picture you are painting is disturbing. It's like everybody owns a police station, and how do you work? You come across, or at least to me, as suggesting that you have to beg for space when you have done your job and you need secure space. You literally have to beg because somebody is going to reject your request. So in the end, you end up not even making the request.
Yes.
Is that how you operate?
Yes, can I elaborate on that, Commissioners?
Please do.
It may not be a pretty picture to paint, but it is the truth. And if I had to tell the Commission, we've had instances. I'll give you an example. I think it was a year or just over a year back. My EPR group seized around 8 tons of copper in the Malvern policing precinct. Firstly, there's no space to keep 8 tons of copper. The stakeholders, meaning Transnet, Eskom, PRASA, don't want to safeguard those exhibits like they usually do. So we stuck with 8 tons of copper. The station cannot house it, that big Malvern station. I personally had to acquire a container, a shipping container that we moved at our own making our own logistical arrangements. Get a container, call in favors, ask the station to house the said container there, lock up the exhibits in this container at Malvern Station. Within a year, every bit of that 8 ton of copper was stolen. There's various cases opened by the police station themselves for petty thieving, but 8 tons eventually was lost. That's one incident with Malvern Station. There was another incident at Isipingo Station, I think it was in 2024. The infrastructure task team had seized around 5 tons of copper. Isipingo could not house it. They then acquired a shipping container, placed it on the station premises in order to house these exhibits. All of those exhibits ended up being stolen within a few months as well. So these are the challenges that we are facing. It's easy for management sometimes to come here and say, we should have tried this station, that station has placed, this station has a big safe. But in reality, these are the challenges we face. And I'm going to go on further to state, when you seize these type of exhibits, sometimes you're at a crime scene for a day or two. To remove 8 tons of copper, the police is not logistically equipped, even with large amounts of drugs. So you're having now to request specialized units like TRT, NIU, POP, to come and guard those exhibits. They're okay with guarding it for maybe a night or two, maybe 4 days max, but they've got their own duties to attend to. Now you've got pressure from their commanders calling you to say we need to withdraw our members. Then I'm calling every district commissioner, every station commander trying to get assistance in this regard. So I just wanted to highlight the challenges that we face. Hence, sometimes the decisions we take may not be viewed in a favorable light here, but it's because of our experience of the challenges we know we face.
You see,
Okay. That can never be justification for you not even asking whether storage space was available. You never asked. You never ever asked. All of the things you say can never be justification for not asking. They cannot be. You simply made an assumption that there was no storage. You assumed that there was no storage. Am I correct? You assumed.
No, Chair.
You assumed because you never asked. It's as simple as all that. Did you ask?
Chair,
Did you ask?
No, I did not ask.
So you assumed.
I knew it would become a problem in the future.
You assumed that they could not store the suspected contain. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Why did you make such an assumption?
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done in a list view. Next, I set a priority and a due date to keep things on track. I create custom statuses.
You escalated it because in paragraph 30, you already took this very strange view that you had, open quote, exhausted all avenues for close quote, for storage. Yeah. And yet you didn't. You simply made an assumption. Is it factually correct that you had exhausted all avenues? Is that factually correct?
It's not factually correct.
So why did you say it to your superiors?
Okay.
And why do you continue to say it in your affidavit? Chair, why did you say that?
Chair, the reason I say it is because of the closest stations that were there were Brighton Beach.
I'll tell them to you. They were Durban Central, Brighton Beach, Maiden Wharf. And how far is Mbilo? There was also Mbilo. How far is that?
Yeah, Mbilo is not far, Chair.
Give us kilometers.
I can't estimate, but more or less.
We
20,
know the furthest
20,
or the farthest was, we know the farthest was 24, and then there was 20, and there was lesser.
Yes.
That's about the 3 we spoke about yesterday.
Yes.
So Mbilo, would you say, is within the 24 downwards also?
I would say so, Chair.
So we're basically talking 4, and in respect of all 4, you simply made an assumption, and you've incorrectly state it as a fact that you had exhausted all avenues. How could you say you had exhausted avenues when in fact you simply made an assumption?
Yes, I did. But Chair, if I may just explain about even Mbilo station, right? I'll give you a practical example, Chair. Maybe it will help shed some light. I think it was 900 and something kilos that were seized in their area. And I think it was the very next day that somehow the lab took reception of these exhibits. But those exhibits as well were stored in an unused cell, a single bricklayer cell. That's nearly 1,000 kilograms of cocaine in a single cell. And the station could only accommodate it for a limited period of time. That is why those measures were taken, and somehow the lab managed to accommodate, and it was sent within a short while to the FSL in Pretoria. So I'm saying...
For argument's sake, let's leave out Mbilo and look at Durban Central, Brighton Beach, Maiden Wharf. For all you knew at the time, they could well have had space.
Chair, I knew Durban Central.
You did not know for a fact that they did not have space, did you?
I knew they were complaining about our exhibits.
No, I'm not talking about complaining.
Yes.
You did not know for a fact that they did not have space.
I did not phone them to inquire, Chair.
And yet you say you had exhausted all avenues. So it was incorrect to say you had exhausted all avenues. You see, the thing is, in response to Ms. Sillo, you go so far as to suggest that all, in fact, I think you said so, that basically all police stations have their problems, individual problems about storage. Do you want me to tell you what's very strange with that proposition or that statement?
Yes, sir.
Look at what you say in the very paragraph 30 I've referred you to. You say that Brigadier Nyuswa should then secure a storage location for the drugs. He would have had to secure that storage space from somewhere.
Yes.
And what did you expect that somewhere to be? A police station, not so. A police station, not so.
Yes.
So how could you give this response that you gave to Ms. Sillo then? A response that suggests that, there are difficulties with all police stations. He could not have gotten the space from outer space.
Yes. No,
So what point were you making then?
Okay, Chair, I think maybe I didn't word it correctly as well. I'm going to add this, but at my level as a colonel, and at that stage as a lieutenant colonel, there's only so much that I can do to escalate this challenge. Obviously, any station commander or district commissioner won't hold my opinion in that high regard, or my request, won't take it as seriously as they would take it if they were engaged by, let's say, my brigadier, my provincial commander.
But you would only get to that if you have seriously done the groundwork, or rather worked the groundwork that needed to be, or done the groundwork that needed to be done. You only reach that stage after all that. Here you did not even do that groundwork. You worked on an assumption. You did not inquire whether space was available, at least at these 3 police stations. I will not mention their names again. You did not even do that groundwork. So it does not even rise to the level of you having to rely on a senior who can better pull strings than you can ever hope to.
You know,
it does not get to that level.
Yes, Chair. And I think I'm going to say this honestly as well. Maybe I wanted my brigadier to bear that burden where he's being inundated with calls from that said station complaining that we need these exhibits to be removed.
So you lied to him. You said you had exhausted all avenues.
I didn't lie.
You lied because you've accepted that you had not. You had not exhausted all avenues.
I put the decision on him, Chair.
You lied when you said to him you had exhausted all avenues. Was it true that you had?
In my mind, Durban Central was out and
Was it true, factually, that you had exhausted all avenues? You've already said you had not.
Yes.
You've already said you had not, correct?
Yes.
So you lied to him when you said you had exhausted all avenues. Do you agree? It's as simple as all that.
I'll have to
You agree?
I'll have to agree, Chair. But I think it's a strong word to say lied, but...
Is it true? Is it true? Is it true? Was it true when you said to him, I have exhausted all avenues? Okay, let's get off lie. Let's step off lie. Was it true? Was it factually correct?
Factually, no, sir.
Factually, no. Is that not a lie? Is that not a lie then?
It sounds, when you say it like that, it sounds a little harsher than...
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner.
Ms. Silla, still on this, sorry. That decision to move to Isipingo police station, it is a major decision, right?
Yes, Commissioner.
And one would expect to have a record of it, that it is recorded and the reason for moving to Isipingo.
Yes, Commissioner.
But it's not in the diary of Warrant Officer Mpangase. You can look at it if you want, yes. But he doesn't account for how that decision or why that decision was made. He merely says, we opened, we found this, it was decided we go to Isipingo. That is problematic.
Yes, I concur.
Yes, and it seems to me, and maybe let me put this to you, that the explanation that you are giving for moving from CHC to Isipingo seems to be an afterthought, because it's not recorded. Even if you allow for this diary was completed for the first time on the 23rd, it seems to me, and you accept that, it's quite a big decision to move from the crime scene in the circumstances and go to Isipingo. And that it is not recorded here is problematic, and we have only your word now that you moved because the reasons that you are giving, that there was nowhere else to go, and yet it's not in the diary of the person that you left as the investigating officer. Explain that.
I agree with you, Commissioner. I can't furnish an explanation on behalf of Warrant Officer Mpangas.
But you see how it does lead, or it can lead to the impression this is an afterthought. Otherwise, he would have recorded that big decision in his diary.
Yes, I can see how it seems there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. On that score, Colonel, you recall yesterday during engagement by Commissioner Baloyi, when she referenced the national instruction.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
And I understood your answer, or a comment you made during the course of your answer, to be that you are all bound by national instruction. That's a national prescript.
That's correct.
Let's just turn to it on this particular score about SAP 13s and taking exhibits, and that would be your CJC 230. File 1, exhibit file 1. That's a National Instruction 8 of 2017. Have you located it?
230 page?
Exhibit 230.
Yes, Commissioner.
You have seen that document before?
Yes, I have.
It's the National Instruction 8 of 2017, Property and Exhibit Management.
Yes, Commissioner.
Is it fair to assume that at least the district or heads of various police stations have seen the document and are familiar with it? I would take that to be the most basic level of knowledge and understanding by those who lead. Would it be fair to attribute that understanding to them, that they know this document, they've seen it?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. Now, I'd like to refer you to page 25, specifically. In that file, it's still part of that, and or in paragraph 7.
Yes.
Are you there? And
Yes.
I'm interested in sub 4 of that paragraph 7, and it reads, I quote, all property and exhibits seized must be entered in the SAP 13 property register of the relevant police station where the crime was committed or where the property was found. Then it continues, and then transferred to the relevant unit and entered in the SAPS 13 of the relevant unit. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Now, when I look at the start of that, it prescribes that all seizures must be registered in the SAPS 13 of the relevant station where the crime was committed. I interpret that to mean they have, the station commanders and everybody has got no discretion on this. This prescript compels them, you register. Unlike what you suggest, which you say they refused to take, you said they were hour seizures.
Yes.
Who's the hour? Are you not part of the SAPs? Are you not part of people or to whom this prescript applies?
We are part of it.
So they can tell you, in the face of this prescription, that they will not take your seizures. Is that what you want these commissioners to accept?
If I may give the example of Isipingo, the previous time for the seizure on the 5th of February 2020, they demanded those exhibits be removed the following day, and they could not, although the lab could not house it, Durban Central then housed it. But one would have thought that Isipingo, being the relevant station, would be compelled now to make some sort of arrangement to house those exhibits, seeing as it was seized in their policing area.
Yes, but you know that doesn't help you, right? Because Isipingo took those drugs It entered them into the SAP 13. It kept them overnight, and then it required that they be removed. So Isipingo actually complied with that prescription.
Yes, but in our case, Commissioner, they didn't store it at all.
Say in our case, you mean which case?
On the 22nd of June 2021.
Because you booked it out. Because Mpangase booked it in and out immediately.
I maintain, Commissioner, that Warrant Officer Perumal did not want to keep those exhibits.
No, well, I think yesterday you sort of gave a more nuanced answer. You said, I may have confused a prior discussion with Perumal about whether they have storage or not. And I accept that, I have to accept that I don't have a recollection of discussing with him. So yesterday you revisited your much firmer earlier statement, where in your earlier statement you had said Perumal refused to accept the exhibits. And yesterday in your explanation, you softened your position and said, yeah, I know that I had previously had in another thing, we had that discussion where he had refused. This time I have to accept that maybe I didn't have the discussion with him. So now you're going back to elevate it to, there was a discussion with Perumal and he refused to take the exhibits. Which one is it?
Okay, Commissioner, if memory serves me correct, or from what I know, the reason I alluded to, or initially I said I was a bit confused and I'm not sure if I asked him explicitly, but I did clarify that my members on the scene had reminded me that Perumal explicitly refused to store those exhibits. And the reason I cited for it not being that clear in my head was possibly because of the previous year's incident that we had with Isipingo SAPS regarding that Mandrax tablets.
But that's another thing that's not in the diary of Mpongase. It's not in his diary. He doesn't say that Perumal was asked and he refused. It appears later on in statements, yet again, it's a later justification, but the entry in the diary doesn't record that. And that accords with Perumal's denial. In fact, it lends credence to Perumal's denial that there was ever such a discussion.
I hear you, I accept that, Commissioner, but I still maintain that Perumal was not accepting those exhibits.
Can I just develop this a little bit? On
Yes,
this 7.4, that compelled you to go to Maiden Wharf and enter in the do exactly what you did at Isipingo, which is you have to enter them in the SAP 13 of the nearest police station where the crime was committed, and then you could have booked it out. It's not about storage this here.
Yes.
Why did you not do that? Even with your assumption that they will say they don't have space, why did you not comply with 17.4, which reads, all, and I'll read it again, all property and exhibits must be entered in the SAP 13 of the relevant police station where the crime was committed or where the property was found, and then transferred to the relevant unit and entered in the SAP 13 of that relevant unit. The first part says you should have entered these things in the SAP 13 of Maiden Wharf, being the nearest police station, no?
No, Commissioner. This CHC container depot fell within the Isipingo policing precinct. So they are the relevant station that...
It's not the nearest.
No, it's the relevant. It doesn't necessarily have to be the nearest. Police stations fall within a certain jurisdiction.
Okay, I accept that. Thank you.
If I may develop that, you recall we looked at the SOP, the ORS SOP yesterday, which identified.
Looking for a great car insurance deal? Look no further. For quality cover and affordable premiums, get a quote and see
Around the harbour, I won't say in the harbour, but that falls within the area of ORS Durban Harbour Police. So it's in that area.
Yes.
Okay. And it's in the area because it means that the harbour police have got access to that depot as any part of the harbour. Do you accept that?
That's correct.
And if, let's then turn and to test your answer, let's look at CJC 258 and bundle B, bundle 3. That is the statement, I might as well say, of Captain Stefan Albert Mullman.
Sorry, Commissioner, CJC?
CJC 258. Page 768. Have you located it, Colonel?
Yes, Commissioner.
This is a statement of Captain Stefan Albert Mullman. Do you know him?
Yes, I'm familiar with him, Commissioner.
If we go to paragraph 3, he states, from July 2014 to December 2024, I was the exhibit clerk serving in the SAPS 13 exhibit room at SAPS Maiden Wharf. And it says, my duties entail the receiving, safeguarding, and releasing of exhibits at the SAPS Maiden Wharf. All items seized at crime scenes or found, and here's the emphasis, within the Durban Harbour Police area must be handed in as exhibits at the Maiden Wharf Police Station. So in his understanding, where Durban Harbour Police have jurisdiction, everything seized there must go to them. That's it. You agree that's what he says?
That's what he says, okay. I agree.
And now you and I have agreed that in terms of SOP, the CHC depot falls under the Durban Harbour, falls within the Durban Harbour Police area. We agreed that yesterday. We just confirmed this morning.
Yes.
Okay. You seem like you want to take issue with what Captain Mullman says. What is your issue?
Yes, Commissioner, I'll still maintain that the Maiden Wharf would not ordinarily receive exhibits that were seized in the Isipingo policing area. It's not the norm. He's speaking of exhibits seized within his policing area. I'm not familiar with any such case that we have on record where we've now transferred exhibits from one of those identified depots to Maiden Wharf. It hasn't happened.
I have a difficulty with your answer because you seem to ignore something I thought we had established. You have accepted that the CHC depot is within the harbour area under, in whose jurisdiction or in whose area the Durban Harbour Police have jurisdiction.
Yes.
We have accepted that. The SOP tells us that, in fact. I'm not making it up, right? So if that is in the area, in the Durban Harbour Police area, as per the SOP, right?
Yes.
Then he's got to be right. It can't be the Isipingo. You seem to want to take the CHC depot out of the harbour area, locate it physically somewhere so that it falls under Isipingo. And I struggle with that notion. So maybe if you try again, because I'm not getting it.
Commissioners, I've never known of one case of us or even any other station that where these depots, designated depots, are situated. I have not known of one case of those exhibits now being sent to Maiden Wharf because they fall under Durban Harbour policing area. Police jurisdictions are police jurisdictions. Your precinct of where your station is based, you are then responsible for exhibits from that area. So although there can be this SOP or any other document, the station caters to their area. When he talks here, Warrant Officer Mullman, he says must be handed in as exhibits at the Maiden Wharf police station. This also includes exhibits seized or found by other SAPS units, and he goes on. But he doesn't allude to, in my opinion, and maybe I'm reading it incorrectly, to say that even items or exhibits seized in Isipingo or Mbilo will come to them and they will accept it. To me, it's not clear to me, Commissioner, and I have not seen any case where such has happened.
There have been witnesses here, and they've been engaged extensively by the commissioners about available police stations in and around the CHC depot. You had that engagement with the chair this morning. We counted Maiden Wharf. We counted, before we get to Isipingo, I think we counted Mbilo. We counted Durban Central, correct?
We did count.
Yes. On your reasoning, then they must not come into play because we are not in their jurisdictions. They were discussed because they were available facilities within the general area before we go to Port Shepstone. Why then do they come into consideration if they're not applicable? I don't understand anymore, Colonel.
Like I'm saying, Commissioner, I can't give you an answer, but I know that we have never, ever stored exhibits from Isipingo at Maiden Wharf or in Bilo at Maiden Wharf Station. This statement, from what I'm reading, it doesn't tell me that.
Then I'll go back to your paragraph 30, your statement. Now, your statement, and once again is the engagement you had with the chair. And your statement to the commission, you say, I then called Brigadier Nyuswa and told them that I had exhausted all avenues and that he should secure a storage location for the drugs. What all avenues could you potentially have exhausted if you were bound to go to only one place, which is Isipingo?
I've been reprimanded for it, Commissioner. But
No, that was a different issue. I'm raising a completely different issue now. When you say you exhausted all avenues, why did you even try to exhaust avenues when you know you can't go there? When you know there are no avenues to exhaust in the very first place?
I think what I meant by that is that I had knowledge that those stations that General Flynn now had mentioned
Yes.
were already carrying our exhibits for.
Oh, okay. Yes. So those were the avenues you considered perhaps potentially available to you?
Yes.
You had exhausted them in a sense that, as the chair pointed out, it implies that you either inquired and confirmed that they don't have space, or you know that they did not have space. Which is...
I did not inquire. I drew an assumption.
Okay, you drew an assumption. Now, staying with Maiden Wharf, we'll look at the others. Still on the same document, if you go over leaf, paragraph 4, I want us to start at 769. We're still with Captain Moolman's statement. Now, paragraph 4 lists records 6 seizures that were stored at SAPS Maiden Wharf from 8th May 2020, yes, 2020-05-08. That's the sixth one on page 769, until the 2nd of December 2024, 2024/1202. You see that? Do you see where I'm reading?
I can't see the 2024, Commissioner. What line?
It's at page 768, as I say.
768, yes.
They are listed, apologies, they are listed 1 to 6, with 1 being the latest and 6 being the earliest. Do you see that?
That's correct.
Now let's look at the earliest, which is at your page 769, that item 6. It's 32 kilograms of cocaine received on the 8th of May 2020. You see that?
Yes.
The next is item 5, which is the 999 kg cocaine received on 30th July 2021. You see that?
Yes.
Unless I am misreading this, it would appear that between that seizure of 30th July 2021 and May 2020, all he had was 32 kg of cocaine. So your seizure actually occurred before the 30th July 2021 seizure. So your assumption was wholly wrong, because after 6 weeks after your seizure, he could accommodate 999 kilograms. Your assumption was wholly wrong. Now, please explain to the commissioners on what basis could you even make it?
Okay. I'm going to try and explain it in this fashion, commissioners. If you look at this 999 kilos that was seized on the 30th of July 2021, these drugs were kept at the station for a period of 3 months. before they were taken to the lab on the 12th of November, 2022. No, 2021, sorry. My apologies. It was taken to the lab on the 12th of November, 2021. So, in effect, this 999 kilos would have still been at Maiden Wharf in their safe. And together with our 541 kilos, it would now mean that there's going to be 1.5 tons of our drug or of drugs at Maiden Wharf.
Is there a challenge with that? Is there a problem?
I'm not sure of their capacity, but my point being, Commissioner, was that these drugs lay at Maiden Wharf for 3 months, and it was only subsequent or after the theft of the drugs in Port Shepstone that now the lab saw fit to start accepting these exhibits. It's only on the 12th of November 2021 that these exhibits, 999 kilograms of cocaine, together with those exhibits that were initially at Isipingo and then moved to Durban Central, it was only at that stage now that this 999 was fetched on the 12th of November, together with the 547 kilograms of mandrax. And at that stage, the lab had taken them up.
Yes.
So my point being that the SAP 13 safes get clogged up. So we were going to have 999 kilograms of cocaine there with another 500 kilograms, so that's 1.5 ton. I'm not sure of the storage capacity at Maiden Wharf, but that's a practical reason that...
May I point something? And I apologize for interrupting. You have the order wrong.
Exactly.
You would have taken up that space that the 900 subsequently took after 6 weeks.
Yes, okay.
So your space was assured, surely.
Yeah, okay.
And whoever, I think it was Colonel Sander who was responsible for the July 21 burst. That would have been his problem, not yours. Yours would have been resolved by then. So why do you worry about a burst still to happen?
I can accept that, but I still maintain, Commissioner, that the station has to cater for their own area, policing area, and more especially Maiden Wharf is one of the stations that regularly receives large amounts of drugs and exhibits from the harbour.
Just where's the logic in that? Where is the logic in that? Because 2 questions before, you were debating on the basis of the cumulative quantity of the 541 and the 999. Now you are told that, but you would have gotten space before the 999.
Yes.
Now I don't understand.
Okay, Commissioner, yes, I got it backward, Chair. My apologies. But
I'm trying to yes. understand the logic of what you said just now.
Yes.
Do you accept it's completely illogical?
Okay, I got it mixed up in terms of which exhibits reach first, Chair.
But that was clarified.
Yes,
the Silo clarified to you.
Yes.
Clarified it to you.
Okay, but
and now you started giving some other explanation, the logic of which I simply do not understand.
Okay, my point, I think, in essence, Chair, is that exhibits are continuously being entered at certain stations. Now, in the event my 541 kilos was accepted at
if the 999, let's not even use if, because they did accept the 999.
Yes.
So I can't see why they could not have accepted your 541.
Okay.
Do you accept that?
Yes, I accept.
In all probability, they would have accepted your 541.
Yes.
So what issue are we debating now?
Okay, can I expand on that?
Please,
and I hope I'm not going to annoy you, Chair, with this.
No, I'm not in the least annoyed.
Okay.
No.
I'm saying, Chair, this is how it works. If my 541 kilograms was at Maiden Wharf, and like I say, I'm not sure of the exact capacity of their safe, and now they receive 999. Most stations don't have capacity for over
That's
a ton.
Colonel Sanders' problem when he comes with the 999.
Okay, yes.
You already have your space.
Yes. So I'm saying, what would be the practical challenge, Chair? You would get a call from that station to say, we've got our own exhibits now. There's 999 that we need to store. and they've got my 540. It hasn't happened.
But that has nothing to do with what we are debating, which is why at the initial stage you did not go to Maidenhof. What happens down the line when there's 999 has nothing to do with why you were not the first at Maidenhof. Do you get my point?
I get your point, Chair.
So you basically have no answer to Ms. Silo's question. Do you accept that? It's as simple as all that. Do you accept that?
I accept it, but can I give a practical example?
Yes, okay, all right. No, go ahead and explain.
You know, back to my Simbiti case, the one in the Mshlali policing area. Similarly, if we sat here today and those exhibits got stolen, I would have been asked, or say it got stolen from Brighton Beach, those chemicals that I said eventually ended up in Brighton Beach. One would have argued, why did I store those exhibits?
That's a different issue altogether, Kenneth. That is a different issue altogether. What we are talking about now is the availability of storage space within Durban. That's what we are debating.
Chair,
and you accepted when I engaged you earlier that you proceeded on the basis of an assumption. Now Ms. Silo is engaging you specifically about Maidenhof and is demonstrating to you that what you've been telling us lacks substance because someone who came, a colleague of yours, who came a month later, was able to get space for an even larger quantity of suspected cocaine. So this is about your decision at the initial stage. It has nothing to do with the possibility of theft down the line. And in any event, that could not have been your concern at the stage of where must this cocaine, suspected cocaine, be stored. Mr. Silo, you may comment if you want to.
Just like I said, maybe I'm laboring on the point, but my point in mentioning the Mshlali case.
I tried a ton of AI work tools. Then I tried Monday.com. Game over. Monday.com is...
They did have the space to store. They did have, in the case where eventually Brighton Beach assisted, the stations had the physical capacity in terms of their safes. If you looked at it, they could accommodate more than a ton. Why they didn't accommodate me, I can't answer you. But I failed.
When were you not, why did they, when is it that they did not accommodate you?
We did this in September 2020. And the reasons they cited, Chair, was not that they wouldn't even give...
What's that got to do with June 2021? What's that got to do with June 2021?
I think, Chair, I was just trying to show that my past experience showed me that stations
surely you could not base your decision on something that historical. You couldn't. You accepted earlier when I engaged you that you proceeded or you took your decision purely on the basis of an assumption. You've accepted that. And I think we should move on unless you again want to give some other explanation.
It's fine, Chair. Thank you.
I'm not gagging you. If you want to give some other explanation, you are free to.
No, it's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, Colonel, I want you to say this still on this document. It's a simple yes to say, looking at item 5, before July of 2021, before the 30th of July 2021, what it shows is that there was space to store 540 kilograms at Maidenhof. It's as simple
as
as
that, Commissioner, yes.
Forget about September, October, the following year. Just looking at that, it's as simple as that.
Yes, I agree with you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Kumalo. Colonel, staying with your statement, and I think you've touched on this slightly, I would like you to have regard to your paragraph 29, your statement now at page 5.
It's CJC, Commissioner?
No, your own statement, your statement to the Commission.
Okay.
Do you have it?
Yes.
Okay. Page 5, paragraph 29. You state in that paragraph, and I'll just read it out quickly, I knew that 2 police stations that normally assisted with storage, viz. Durban Central SAP and Brighton Beach SAP, still had exhibits from our drug seizures conducted in February 2020 and September 2020, respectively. I'll stop there. You see that?
Yes, yes.
Now let's talk about the September 2020. Is that the Umhlali seizure that you spoke of?
That's correct.
Okay. What was seized there and what was the quantity?
The exact quantities, I can't recall offhand.
Estimate, in this case,
yes,
we keep saying 540
tons.
kg. Yeah, but
Looking at maybe a ton of a precursor chemical.
a ton. Okay. And then the February 2020 seizure, what was that?
That was the CHC depot. That was 547 kilograms of mandrax.
Of mandrax?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know where these drugs are? Or at the time you were confronted with the 541, did you know where those drugs were? Did
Yes,
you know they were still at those respective police stations?
That is correct.
Okay. And it's on that basis that you say you then concluded, because the one was already holding a ton of chemicals and the other was holding 547 kilograms of mandrax, you concluded that they are not a viable option.
Yes.
Okay. I would like you to go to Exhibit 2, I think, yes, Exhibit 2. No, Exhibit File 2, that's the word I'm looking for. And to go to CJC 242. CJC 242, Chair, page 504.
Got it.
Have you located it?
Yes.
Do you know what that document is?
I can see the heading. It looks like major cocaine and heroin seizures.
Yes, and this is from the period 2020 to date, and whatever date is, but we can determine that. Do you know that document?
I haven't seen it per se. I haven't seen this specific document.
So you
Okay.
wouldn't know who
No,
the
no,
authors...
sorry, just one
Sorry.
second, Commissioner. It may be something that I... Yeah, but the front page does not look familiar, but this could be a presentation. Yes, it is something that I had prepared, Commissioner.
You prepared this document?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Oh, no, sorry. I prepared some of it. I see it's a mixture here, Commissioner. I
Yes.
don't want to mislead you. There's some other slides that I'm not familiar with, but the photos in the front and the Durban Harbour and all of that, I compiled a similar presentation.
now I'm talking about this one specifically. You contributed to this particular document.
I can't recall contributing to it.
I'll confirm that your seizure is in this document as one of the major heroin and cocaine seizures in that period. So it is dealt with in here. That would have been from your contribution, right?
Remember, Commissioner, these stats are released once we do a buy or a seizure or any success. It's out there in our space. So I can't say I was hands-on
No,
with this.
I can live with that.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you remember I said this, you see from the title,
Yes.
it's major heroin and cocaine seizures from 2020 to date. I have determined that it probably is from March 2020. And the basis for that, and up to the 14th of October 2025. That's my estimate of the period.
Okay.
And the basis for that, you will find at page 570, which is a table of all these seizures over the relevant period.
Yes, I see that.
And I have determined that the last entry at 572 is dated 4 October 2025. Do you see that?
Yes,
at
I
page
see.
572.
Yes, I see that.
And so you don't have any challenge with my interpretation of what's stated in this document, that is for a period from March 2020 to October 2025.
Yes.
Okay, live with that. All right. Now let's go to page 570. Perhaps before we go to 570, the logical place to start would be page 514 of that document.
Got it.
Okay, now that's your seizure at 514.
That's correct.
Okay. So we know that it happened on the 21st of June, 22nd June 2021.
Correct.
Now then, let's go to 570, which is the table of all these seizures. It's easier to work off that table. If you are there, I take it when this document tells me that it's about major heroin and cocaine seizures from a particular date from the DPCI KwaZulu-Natal Serious Organized Crime Unit, that's your office. That's where you
correct.
are based, right?
Yes.
And now you are a senior member within that outfit.
Yes.
Yes. So your office tells us then at 570 that between March 2020 up until item number 6, those are the seizures that had been made in the Durban area.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Now, and then I do a very rudimentary arithmetic exercise, and I say what this document tells me is that from 2020, what was retained in the various police stations regarding these major seizures, my calculation is a total of plus minus 61 kilograms in all police stations. I must say, I exclude the 18,300 heroin capsules because I have no idea what they could potentially weigh, and item 2, and I also exclude part of item 4, which is 220,000 heroin capsules. You can give them any weight you want, but I dare say we don't even reach 100 kilograms by the time you have your seizure at item 6. Do you see that?
Yes.
And this I'm informed of by your office.
Yes.
Of which you are a part.
Yes.
So it cannot be that there were storage problems. That's first. And secondly, please, in this document, find for me your seizures of February 2020, which you say is the 547 kilograms of mandrax, and your September 2020 reference there, which you said was a ton, I think, of some.
Yes.
Please,
yes.
Please find it for me in this presentation.
Yes, okay. Commissioner, it's serial number 4 on page 570.
Yes.
So we've got, this is misleading, right? Because it says heroin plus heroin capsules. I can confirm it was heroin capsules, mandrax precursors. There's a whole lot more. This is incomplete, Commissioner.
No, it can't be. So now you are telling us that an entire formal presentation by the DPCI is misleading.
I'm saying that.
And on what do you base it? Please give us the facts to show that this is misleading and you have the right information.
This looks like it may have been compiled by a colleague at my office without consultation. I can say categorically that this is incorrect. And I'll also point out another incorrect statement by yourself, Commissioner. Go to the evidence.
No, I'm not a commissioner. You are elevating me, sir.
The serial number 7, Maiden Wharf, 999 kilograms. That's the same 999, I think, that you had mistaken for the CHC depot. There's no 999 that was seized at CHC. So as the commander of the unit, I'm familiar with my cases, so I thought I'd point that out.
No, it's made in WAF, that 999 kg.
You said it was CHC depot.
I said it was CHC depot, but it was. We know it was registered and made in WAF. We put it up there.
But it was not at the CHC depot, Commissioner.
And I did accept I may be wrong, but this document doesn't say anything about depot.
Now, I'm just pointing out of your incorrect statement.
For what it's worth. It's about tea time now. If you maintain this document is incorrect, Chair is going to give us...
I'm just saying point 4, Commissioner. I'm saying point 4 is incorrect.
Okay, so you confine yourself to point 4.
Yes.
Then let's find the September 2020 seizure. It being a ton, that would be a major one.
Yes, that's the same one I'm
speaking
speaking of, point 4.
Okay, then let's find the other one, the 547 kilograms Mandrax, February 2020. I was struggling to find both. And you can't go beyond item 6 because item 6 is your seizure.
Yes. I don't see
Yes.
the 547.
That's my challenge as well.
Yes.
So how do the commissioners accept that, in fact, you could not get storage for the 541 kilograms of cocaine because of a supposed 547 kilogram Mandrax seizure which had taken up storage capacity somewhere? How do you persuade them of that if your own office document doesn't support that?
Once again, Commissioner, I'm saying to you that I bear no knowledge of this document. It's evident that somebody, I've got it on my memory stick here as well. I've done a presentation for SADEP that was presented in Cape Town at some conference. It's somewhat similar, but I see it's chopped and changed. I started off with this intro of the picture of Durban Harbour and giving an overview, but looking at this, the pictures, the writing, the grammar, I can suspect, I think I know where this came from. This was not sanctioned by my office. This is not an official document that's recognized by myself as the unit commander.
All right, let's, just to be sure, as I said, we are approaching tea. If we are not at tea already, perhaps it might be an opportune moment. You say you have it, I think, on a memory stick.
Yes.
We'll take this time during tea to see if we can locate your document that you consider to be more correct, right? And introduce into the record. Would that assist you?
I don't know what you're looking to prove, Commissioner, so I'm not sure.
I'm looking to prove that there was capacity in and around Durban for 541 kg heroin. You didn't have to go to Port Shepstone. That's what I'm trying to prove.
I'm not disputing, Commissioner, that they would have been.
Okay. So you did not talk to Brigadier Nyuswa to find alternative storage capacity because you had exhausted all avenues and there was no storage space in Durban. That is not the case. There was storage in and around Durban. You chose to go elsewhere, to Port Shepstone in this case, on the advice of Brigadier Nyuswa. Is that a fair summary?
It's not a fair summary to say I chose with regards to Port Shepstone. It's a fair summary to say that I've told or informed Brigadier Nyuswa that I exhausted all avenues.
Okay. So you chose not to store this seizure anywhere in and around Durban. You chose that one.
I did not choose to do so. If Brigadier Nyuswa had made a call to some senior...
No. Mine is slightly different. You chose that this seizure will not be stored in and around Durban.
No, I did not.
You must have.
No, I did not.
Chair, is this an appropriate time?
Let's adjourn and resume at 25 to 12.
Thank you, Chair.
Big dreams start small. At GoDaddy, we help you take that first step and every step after.
the feelings take control.
Ms. Hello.
Thank you, Chair. Before we move from this document, we had flighted CJC 242, that presentation. I think it's necessary I place on record. You will see on the face of that document it's got marking S2, an extra S2. That document was provided to the Commission by General Sinona. It's an extra S2 to General Sinona's January statement, for the record. Colonel, we discussed that this document that you take issue with was provided to the Commission by your General Sinona.
Yes, Commissioner.
You and I have spent the tea break trying to determine the extent of inaccuracies that you claim are contained in this document, and that you have another presentation. We have had sight of that presentation, we have considered it, and the exercise we are undertaking now is to see the extent to which the two documents conflict. Most importantly, to see whether the presentation that the Colonel has provided will alter the position as reflected in the table from page 570, to demonstrate from his presentation that there was no space. My understanding of that presentation, and Colonel, I'll need your guidance here, is that because of its nature and its purpose, when the Colonel compiled it, it will not help us cross that line. Because his presentation, as I understand it, Colonel, listen to me and properly and correct me where I'm wrong, was to a particular audience in Cape Town and highlighted only container seizures. So it's a very limited presentation, with the result that this Umhlali 1-ton seizure of the chemicals is not in that presentation. And he insists that it was made, but it is not in this table. So one thing we have been able to determine is, to the table as it stands, the least we can do is to add a ton of that ingredient. Yes, Chair. That's how far we've gotten on that exercise.
Ms. Hilo, I just wanted to say that unless the Colonel comes up with something else, whether now or at any other stage, I think the point has been made that from the fact that the 999 kg could be accommodated, it can never be suggested that there was no space.
I agree.
In June.
Indeed, Chair.
When they got theirs. Yeah.
I agree. I just thought, in all fairness to him, because he objected to the accuracy of the document, and that's the point at which we adjourned.
But as you just explained now, even that goes to the very same question.
In fact, even his presentation doesn't overturn the status of capacity as reflected in Captain Mullman's statement regarding capacity at Maiden Wharf.
Yes,
it doesn't.
Yes.
It wouldn't.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Okay. Colonel, does that cover the situation? As the Chair says, whatever there is available whatever you have that you can avail to the Commission, you may do so. We are already conducting the exercise I described. We will see where it lands us before you finish your testimony. But I think the Chair's invitation is broader. If after you leave, you have other documents that may help address the question of whether or not there was storage capacity in and around Durban, you will file, I suggest, through the Chair, a supplementary statement and make available those documents. Would that be a fair point to leave it? Chair, your mic, sorry.
Oh, it was on throughout, and I switched it off just before speaking. I wanted to say, Colonel, in response to the invitation, maybe to file something later, that Sitting here, I have my doubts as to how you would ever be able to answer the question whether, as of June 2021, there was in fact space, hence 999 kg could be stored at Maiden Wharf. We are not even talking about the other available, or rather, the other police stations. We are not even talking about those. I'm saying yes, Mr. Lilo made the invitation, but I'm thinking you should think carefully before taking up that offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
No, I hear what you're saying, Chair. The only issue I had with the presentation that was before the Commission, it wasn't completely accurate.
I get that.
Yes.
I get
So,
that.
and I
But
hear
guess
your
my
point. Yes.
I guess my point is more that
It doesn't take us
does any of that take us anywhere? Yeah.
No, and I get your point, Chair. There's no way I'm going to show you that Maiden Wharf was not in a position to accept a ton when it did.
Thank you.
So I concede to that, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I steal this moment and just get a yes or no answer from you without elaboration?
Yes.
Sitting here today, are you prepared to accept that your assumption that there was no storage space for this 551 kilograms in June 2021 was wrong? Sitting
Yes.
here today, are you prepared to accept that your assumption was wrong and it was not based on fact? Yes or no? If you say yes, I will leave it there. If you say no, I will leave it there. I won't ask you to elaborate.
Yes. You made my decision easier, Commissioner. Yes, I concede.
Just in terms of us moving forward.
Yes, Commissioner, I do agree with what you are saying. I made an assumption based on my past experience, not based on fact.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. Colonel, we are somewhere between CHC Depot and Isipingo, but let's see where we land. Captain Duma testified, and I think in one of... Yes, Commissioner.
We have a lot of open files here that get lost. Can we close any one of them and put away for now?
I may say yes and only have you reach out for it again.
The presentation file, can we close that? For now.
Let me see. We can always grab it if we must, yes. Thank you, Commissioner. Colonel, I was saying Captain Duma testified, and I think in one of your many statements that you made during the inquiry and subsequent investigation following the theft, you indicated that much as you had received a call from Captain Duma on the 22nd of June 2021, you actually had a conversation prior thereto, but it was not as specific as the engagement you had on the 22nd. So he had warned you, or at least shared with you, intelligence that there may be a shipment coming in with this kind of a cargo. You confirm that?
I do confirm.
So by the time he called you on the 22nd of June 2021, you had been expecting confirmation, if there was one to be had, of that shipment, and that would trigger the need for you to go investigate that container, correct?
Correct.
I would expect, unless I'm expecting too much, that when you got the call on the 22nd, because you had been anticipating it, you'd at least have prepared some basics, which is evidence bags, gloves, and the like, in anticipation of that call when it eventually comes, so that you can act immediately. Is that a fair expectation on my part?
Commissioner, if I may put it this way, we always supposed to have those on standby.
Yes.
It's not just in preparation for a specific operation. We always supposed to have that on standby. Yes. But I must, add that this information was not time specific, not container specific. It was just information hanging in the air. There's going to be a container coming with something. How much, we don't know. Which container, we don't know. So, yes, that's it.
And understanding that you're on leave and therefore at home, and I take it that you wouldn't have spare equipment at home, but you might. But at least we know that on the day you called Brigadier Nyuswa, no, you called Warrant Officer Mpangase and asked him to inform Brigadier Nyuswa that you are booking back in. You recall?
Yes, Commissioner.
We had tasks in one app, docs in another, meetings somewhere else. It was complete chaos. Then we moved everything to ClickUp. And when
I can't give, maybe I thought the Brigadier was busy. I knew Pangase was going to speak to him personally or brief him about the situation. And I've never been turned down if ever requesting to work or to book on duty. So
okay.
I was a bit complacent in that regard.
And you knew that they would meet and talk because they're at the office, or?
When he said he's going to brief the Brigadier,
yes.
I understood that to be he was going to meet with him. I subsequently heard that it was a telephone call.
Oh, so at the time you assumed they were going to meet?
I assume so.
Was it fair to assume at the office? Or would they meet at home or a coffee shop?
No, at the office.
At the office.
Yes.
So why didn't you ask then, because by then you had received Captain Duma's call, why didn't you ask Warrant Officer Mpangase to bring evidence bags, whatever he may lay his hands on?
Commissioner, that's a given. Somebody with Pangase's experience, there would have not been a need for me to inform him of such. Any SANEP member knows, or any detective knows, you going out to a scene, you ought to be prepared for that scene. So I did not see fit to tell him, because he was a SANEP member. That's a core function of his.
Yes. And when you met, you didn't ask him where are the evidence bags?
I didn't ask him.
Now, you said an officer of his level ought to know, you expect him to know. But this is the same officer you advised to enter the exhibits in the Port Shepstone SAP 13. Why does he require such a basic reminder?
I think upon seeing that he didn't even come on exhibit bags, then I thought I'd rather not leave anything unsaid, hence my guidance to him thereafter.
Oh, so it was his failure the previous day to bring evidence bags that led you to the conclusion that perhaps you placed too much trust in him about his level of knowledge and experience in these matters. Is that what you're saying?
Not completely, but I'm saying I tried to make sure that despite our errors initially, that going forward there was no other hiccups, hence my calls to him.
Now, when you opened the container, you realized the actual quantity, at least at face value. You had a number of bags, big bags. And that quantity in large part contributed to your decision to move to Isipingo, correct?
That's correct.
Why didn't you inquire from Maiden Wharf and ask them to give you, as a matter of urgency, evidence bags? At least very large evidence bags to bag these very bags before you even open them up.
Okay, once again, Commissioner, it was in the Isipingo policing area. Maiden Wharf is a bit of a further distance away from, so it's Isipingo area. I didn't ask. My initial thinking was when we get to Isipingo station, we will bag it there because Isipingo ought to have bags. It turns out that they did not.
So you got to Isipingo then and you requested for the bags?
That's correct.
And you maintain that, is it Warrant Officer Perumal, what's the correct rank, please help me?
Yes.
Warrant Officer Perumal.
Yes.
You insist that you requested storage space and he denied you storage space.
Yes, I do.
You are aware, we don't have to go there, that he's filed 2 statements where he categorically denies that you ever had any conversation about storage space and that all you ever wanted was the SAP 13 book, or whatever it's called, to make the entry regarding this seizure.
I dispute that, Commissioner.
So what the commissioners have are your version and his version, and they'll see which is more believable. That's all they can go by.
Okay. May I just add a comment,
Okay.
Commissioner? Once again, I'll talk to Warrant Officer Perumal's integrity. Previously, like I did mention, if he was somebody that was credible, somebody who had some integrity and was interested in speaking the truth, when he was approached by the investigation team and asked about my engagements with him, one would have expected him to have at least mentioned the previous incident with regards to the Mandrax that was stored there. Even if he said at that stage it was because Mandrax was making us sick, that's why we couldn't store it for a lengthy period, that would have been fine with me. But the fact that he remained silent on that, and now a version has been portrayed to the Commission as though Isipingo is a station that would gladly accept any exhibits, more especially drugs, I take issue with that. And also, just to add on that, even Warrant Officer Sander confirms in his affidavit, aside from the hazardous nature of the drugs, because I think that's where the Commission is going to look at, but besides that, in Warrant Officer Sander's statement, he does make mention that Warrant Officer Perumal indicated to him that he did not have enough members to guard these exhibits. So I just thought I'd place that before the Commission.
That's not the reason why your consignment was not stored in Isipingo, so it's irrelevant, the question of guarding them, because according to you, he simply refused to take them because he said, I don't have space. That's your version.
Yes.
Would you like to make a comment?
No, that's fine.
Okay. And we know that, and you did testify, that you didn't call LCRC to the CHC depot scene, quote unquote, nor the Isipingo scene.
Yes, that's correct, Commissioner.
And you do know that in terms of the document called Protocol on the Search, Seizure, Handling Processes and Disposition of Illicit Drugs, that you must call them to such a scene.
Yes, I am aware, Commissioner.
And you chose nonetheless not to call them?
Yes, I did, Commissioner.
And I think the reason you gave for that decision was that they'll take fingerprints and all you ever get are pictures.
That is correct,
of the scene.
Yes.
Is that something that happens with you only, or generally it's an issue with LCRC that you don't get the fingerprints back?
Okay.
Results, rather.
Yes, Commissioner. Like I indicated previously, out of every single case of this nature that we've had, we've received nothing, as in zero, in terms of fingerprints and DNA.
Yes.
Yes.
Now,
Sorry, when you said this yesterday, actually, I wanted to ask you whether is the suggestion then, or shouldn't the suggestion from how you have dealt with, how you explain your failure to call the LCRC, that the suggestion is there is no point in requiring that the LCRC should be present when you do seizures of this nature, and therefore that requirement in the procedure manual or wherever it is, in the protocol, should be done away with, because then it will avoid you having to justify why you did not call them, and it will provide protection to every police officer that they can say, I actually am not required to do that.
Yes. I think, Commissioner, it will depend on scene to scene.
Yes.
From scene to scene.
Yes.
I can't make a blanket statement that we don't require LCRC. Once again, I'll say where you've got hidden compartments, hidden panels, secret compartments on the floor, wherever a suspect would have handled some sort of surface that you can uplift prints or DNA, that can now be objectively linked to that drugs and the suspect. So yes, in those cases, I would say it's, although we haven't had luck, there is that possibility.
Well, somebody handled these bags and the packets that are inside, the bricks that are inside. So what you've just said undermines your explanation or your justification why we should make nothing of the fact that you didn't call the LCRCs because you thought, well, anyway, we never get results.
Yes.
It can be, you either suggest with your justification as suggesting there's no point in having this requirement for these kind of seizures where we are dealing with, I think you call them rip-on, rip-off. Yes. There's no point to having it. That's a logic, it seems to me, the logic from how you have thought about it. The logical thing must be, well, then there's no point in having this requirement. We might as well do away with it. Or, well, there is a point because there's always a chance that some fingerprints may be picked up that are very useful because somebody has handled those goods, and therefore it is a big deal when you do what you did, which is to contaminate those packages or to prevent the LCRC, deny them a chance completely, in fact, to uplift any matter, any material that may ultimately or possibly be linked eventually. You understand what I'm raising with you? Yes.
Yes, I understand, Commissioner. And my simple answer is this. Yes, in theory, one would expect fingerprints, DNA on the packaging, the tape that surrounds the handle of the bags. There's also some tape that surrounds the canvas bag itself. Then you've got plastic wrappings on a kilo brick as well. One would expect those to have prints or DNA. Yes, very well. But we've received nothing. In theory, yes, it's good. So I'm not sure whether they're handling it in a certain manner that's the reason we aren't getting anything. But that's practically my experience.
Yeah, but what I'm putting to you is it can never be a satisfactory explanation, your justification for them not being at the scene. It can be a satisfactory explanation that, well, we never get anything anyway out of them. It's not a satisfactory explanation because there's always the chance.
Yes, there is.
Even if it's a small chance, there's always a chance that they may pick up something. You accept that?
I do accept it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And when you say you only get back, you never get results from DNA and fingerprints, what you mean is that you don't get results regarding a positive hit. They don't send you back the fingerprints they took. There's nothing you can do with them. The report they can only send is that we uplifted X number of prints or a different type of DNA. We tested it, and this is the result that we got. We can match this fingerprint to something that's already in the database. Is that the kind of report you would receive or you expect? Or are you expecting them to give you the actual copies of the prints they uplifted?
Whichever would have sufficed, Commissioner, meaning, yes, sometimes you get prints being uplifted or DNA that you can't really match to a suspect. Remember, It's only if your suspect has been charged before that his prints are on the system, even DNA.
Yes.
The same applies to that. So I'm saying, never mind even linking those prints to somebody who's on the system or linking DNA, to somebody who's on the system, we've received nothing, meaning they weren't able to uplift any DNA or any fingerprints upon their processing of these crime scenes.
Now, you don't know whether they would have been able to uplift any in this instance?
No, I don't know, Commissioner.
You do know that when there was that 999 kg seizure, LCRC attended to the scene?
Yes,
and discharged its duty to uplift any DNA and fingerprints.
Yes, I'm aware, Commissioner.
So then we must accept that that was an exercise in futility, because whoever was responsible for that scene will not be hearing further from LCRC.
I don't want to be as bold as to say it's an exercise in futility. There may be that 1 in 100 cases that we do get, so...
How do you land on 100? Why not 1 in 3?
I'm just thumb-sucking, Commissioner.
Okay. So just a thumb-suck on your part. Is it possible that, and you remember that presentation we dealt with provided to the Commission by General Sinona on seizures from these seagoing vessels, that the port of Santos, Brazil, appears to be one of the key sources of these drugs. Do you accept that?
That's correct.
Do you accept that once that container hits the harbor in Johannesburg, in Durban, we wish we had a harbor. That container is sealed, and it's assumed that it was sealed at point of origin.
That's correct.
You wouldn't have a difficulty in accepting that if LCRC uplifts any prints, they will not be able to match to anyone in our database because these are people out in Brazil.
That's correct.
You do accept, however, that seeing as the number of seizures we have been able to execute precisely out of that port, the more of those fingerprints and DNA we uplift and share with Brazil, the more we empower them that end to try and locate who may consistently be responsible for these shipments. Do you accept that?
I agree with you 100%.
And you consider that absolutely unnecessary, and therefore will not call SARC. And I ask this question on the assumption that you as DPCI are part of a global law enforcement movement against drug trafficking. You play a significant role there.
Yes.
You share and receive intelligence,
yes, and
other matters. But somehow you choose to undermine such a key one simply because you cannot, Jacob, don't get back results from LCRC. Is that a fair take on my part?
If I may explain, Commissioner, what we do when we make a seizure of this nature, we do a report that then goes to Interpol. Then there's a purple notice that's issued, meaning we send them the method of concealment, the logo on the drugs, everything regarding the modus operandi, the description. So with regards to trying to identify the suspects on the other side and try to profile them, we are doing our, but investigations are ongoing in that regard. If I may even elaborate on a recent one, we found a tracking device on a brick of cocaine where we made a seizure in a reefer, one of those freezer containers. So there we found a SIM card, obviously that a tracking device works with. So we sent it to our SANEB head office. We've shared that information with Interpol, with international law enforcement agencies. So that's about as far as it goes. What we do have at our disposal, we do communicate with them. But that being said, I've never shared DNA or fingerprints, but I won't say it's an exercise in futility. There may be that one odd case that comes up. So I can say going forward, I won't neglect them in future, but I think my past experience.
Looking for a great car insurance deal? Look no further. For quality cover and affordable premiums, get a quote and see how little...
Ask a question, or maybe make a statement to you. if the requirements and the national prescripts or national instruction is that LCRC must be there and it is a requirement, then it's not your call to make based on previous disappointment that because they disappointed me in the past, I'm going to decide not to call them to a major seizure of drugs. You simply do not have that power. If the prescripts say LCRC must be at the scene and they must take photos and fingerprints, whether they mess it up or not, you don't have the power to say, I won't call them.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner, may I add something? No, hopefully I'm not going to get in trouble. Of those 10 cases that General Flynn did analyze, it was mine together with 2 others that LCRC were not called out. And I believe there was justifications from the investigating officers. But that being said, I hear what you're saying. We can't have a blatant disregard for national instructions. They are there for a reason.
Because it's binding on you.
Yes, yes. So that discretionary, or the discretion that we exercise at these scenes, I think we no longer can call it any discretion that we're exercising. We should not, and we won't be doing that. But I just try to let the Commission know there are those times that the IO makes those calls. Sometimes it's for a valid reason, but it lends itself to abuse where maybe members or corrupt members have underhanded or ulterior motives and may not call out LCRC for improper reasons.
Especially when things go wrong, like in this case, because we then go back and we say, did you follow?
Yes, yes.
The national instruction to the letter, and quite clearly you did not.
Yes.
We maybe also put this to you, maybe let me do that, that in this case, there's no justification for not calling the LCRC.
At the time I thought so, but now I realize no, there was no justification, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. At least you appreciate that they take photographs,
Yes.
for official photographs,
Yes, that's correct, Commissioner.
and they prepare a report based on those photographs taken.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Do you understand the value of those photographs? Whether in subsequent criminal cases or even a case brought civilly by the owner of the container claiming damages. Do you appreciate the value of the LCRC report?
Yes, I do, Commissioner.
And you appreciated at the time, but because they don't give you fingerprints, once again you decided you're not going to waste your time with them.
Yes, and I'll also add a comment to that, Commissioner.
Yes.
We've had cases where our members have taken, on these seizures as well, taken photos, proper photos, photos of bagging, sealing, all of that, and compiled an album, even of those 10 cases that General Flynn looked at. There were 2 others that did the same. Once again, I'm not pointing fingers, but it was something that was generally accepted as well.
By who? Accepted by who? Non-compliance with the prescripts is accepted by who? Colonel, because there the commissioners are going to be interested. Who next
yes.
to have a conversation with?
In this case, I think my point is that it was not something that was picked up by General Flynn as a major flaw in the handling of the crime scene. When he did
General
analyze.
Flynn is not part of my and your conversation. It's your understanding and appreciation I'm testing. I don't know why you keep referencing General Flynn.
Okay.
You are a senior member within DPCI, and I'm entitled to test your appreciation and knowledge of applicable prescripts and compliance therewith. And so I don't understand why you keep referring me back to General Flynn.
Yes, no, I think I'll say it again, that we've been complacent. I think old habits die hard, or our experience sometimes made us a little complacent. But like I say, it won't happen again. We will call these relevant role players out to do their job.
Okay?
Sorry, on this,
Yes.
on this issue, it seems to me, Colonel, that the absence of the LCRC and therefore the absence of the report that they would have prepared, which would have told us what was out of the container immediately at the depot, their absence there, in fact has the consequence that we have your word, and when I say your word, I mean the other police officers as well, only their words about what was found in fact there. Because we don't have photographs, for example, that show, in fact, had the LCRC been there from other evidence, you would have done the count there, you would have done the sealing there, and there would have been photographs of that. So as we sit here, we have only your word and the other officers as to what in fact was found. Yes. Is that right?
You are correct, Commissioner.
Okay. So if the depot manager were to say, or the security guard were to say, in fact, there was much more than this, it will be your word against theirs. We have no record, proper record, official record of what you in fact found when you were at the depot.
I'll accept that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. In fact, I think you state at CJC 243.13 at page 605, we don't have to go there. I think we touched on this. I'll just read your paragraph 3 of that statement, and that's your statement of the 23rd of June 2022. In that paragraph, you state as follows: photos of the scene were taken by myself and Captain KG Sibia on the day of the seizure. I'm unsure if Warrant Officer Mpangase had also taken photos or if Captain Duma had done so as well, close quote. So you left this entire photographing of the scene exercise to chance, depending on who wants to take photos?
No, Commissioner, it was myself and Captain KG Sibia.
How many photos did between the two of you take?
I can't say, but we took photos of every step of the way, from the opening of the container, the cutting of the lock, the bags that were there. Upon reaching Isipingo, laying it out in rows, the only photos that were absent were obviously sealing them in exhibit bags. But we did take quite a few photos. In fact, what was encompassed in the inquiry was not a holistic reflection. At no stage, if somebody came and asked me, do you have more photos, I would have furnished them with those photos. So, those photos don't do justice to what we did on the scene. Those photos in the inquiry.
Why would they think to ask you?
I'm just saying, if they saw that as a shortfall, that maybe there were not enough photos, we couldn't see the count or anything of that nature, then I'm sure we could have provided with more photos. I never saw it as an issue.
Now, your investigation diary, the one you introduced into the record yesterday, I did not pick up from that diary that these photos were formally submitted as part of that investigation diary. Are they recorded in there?
What annexure is?
Oh, you want us to go there?
Yeah,
yes.
Because I know photos were filed. I'm just trying to see if they make reference to it in the investigation.
Yeah, and that's exactly the exercise I did to see, because you took us through the mill of how to read that investigation diary, which is step by step what transpired, right? Yeah. And I said what I couldn't find was an entry regarding these photos.
It's possible. I'm not going to dispute that and make us go to it. If you say it's not there, Commissioner, I will accept it.
I'm not saying it's not there, definitively, but I'm saying I could not see a reference. Okay. But then let's assume that it is indeed not there. It wasn't made. Is that a problem?
It's not a major problem, Commissioner. If you look at every other such inquiry, it's not a must that you diarize. Yes, you make reference to it. I'll give you an example. Photos filed, see photos filed as per A7 to A15, something of that nature. But it's not that detailed. You'll file an affidavit together with your statements, with your photos attached to it. But I don't seem to see any such entry here.
I'm concerned that you downplay the importance of photos of a crime scene generally, particularly this one. I would like to invite you to go to page 303, that would be Exhibit File 1. if we start, no, 306 perhaps. At 306, that's CJC 3235. And if you add 306, you will see it's the LCRC Durban report compiled by Warrant Officer Zungu. You see that?
Yes, I can.
In that particular case, you go over leaf. It then speaks to the photographs taken. It looks very formal. It tells the reader, photo 1, taken inside the LCS premises, whatever gives you the address. It depicts establishing shot of the marked crime scene as was found. And it works through all those photographs, explaining what the photograph depicts to photograph 28 at page 308. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
Your file, your seizure doesn't have the benefit of this report. All it has are random pictures taken by yourself and Captain Sibia, which are not even entered into the investigation diary.
Yes, you are correct.
Yes. Now, my mind tells me, and I say this quite guardedly because my mind may be dysfunctioning. It tells me that is wholly wrong unless there is a motive behind why things were done the way they were. And I say so because I want to put a proposition to you and invite you to make a comment as to why you did not call LCRC, as to why there are no formal records, as to why you just took the whole lot and, shuttled it off to Isipingo. And that for me is at page 298 of the same file. This is the Maiden Wharf case 00408-2021. It relates to the LCRC photo album relates to the same case. And please note that this is from the July 2021 seizure, so it's after yours, okay? Please bear that in mind.
What page, Commissioner?
298.
298.
Yeah. And in this particular case, this is by Warrant Officer Sander, who handled this seizure. It states at paragraph 3 that on that 26 August 2021, I was on duty and recovered an amount of narcotics. Next line, I requested the provincial LCRC to attend the scene and collect DNA from the bags. I was informed that DNA samples should not be logged on the various systems if a case has not been opened. I therefore registered the case of Maiden Wharf case 04/08-2021 for drug trafficking. Do you see that?
Yes, I see it, Commissioner.
I suggest to you that why you didn't call LCRC was to avoid this formality that Colonel Sanders confronted, because this entire seizure was never really meant to go formally into the records of the SAP, besides a cryptic SAPS 13 entry at Isipingo.
No, I disagree with that,
Okay.
Commissioner. Maybe if I had to add, and this is really the reality of it. These type of cases are more of a recovery, more of a seizure. Like I've said, we've had a 0% success rate. Yes, there is always that chance, but in our experience, it's more of a recovery, as long as you're getting these drugs off the street. So that's primarily what the objective of these seizures are, because we can clearly see that, and it's not something that the public wants to hear, but it's difficult to really make inroads and charge a suspect, especially on the rip-on, rip-off cases. But I do take what you say, Commissioner.
Thank you. Moving on then, I would like us to turn our attention to what happened at Sipingo, and in particular SAP 13. Yesterday, when we dealt with your statement, you indicated that at the time that SAPS 13 form or logbook was being completed, you said firstly it was by Warrant Officer Mpangase, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you said you did not see what he included in that document. You only became aware of it subsequent to the theft.
To him making that entry, yes.
Yeah, okay. You said to him making the entry. At which point did you become aware of the content of that?
I said when I saw it on the commission, but it ought to have been filed in the inquiry. But obviously I didn't really interrogate or analyze it that carefully.
No, my question was, when did you become aware of that?
While watching the commission.
Oh, from this commission?
Yes.
Oh, you're going to hire as a DPCI at this rate, you see that? I'm going to, it's CJC 193. And I would like to get your comment on that entry. Let me work off your...
Sorry, which file number?
Not sure of my referencing. You showed it there.
What is the document we are looking for?
The Isipingo SAP 13 were completed by Warrant Officer Mpangase. Something went wrong in the note-taking. But if it's not CJC 193, you are...
PMD offers third-party car insurance that you can trust from as little as 167 Rand per month.
I joined PMD after hearing a great testimony from a friend.
I've been with PMD since 2015, and they always give me the best premiums.
PMD are always there when you need help, no excuses.
You enjoy...
While we...
I'm looking at the file we were on just now. The very first CJC there is 195,
I see,
which should mean that the one you are referring to is the one just before that.
Actually, two before that, but...
The difficulty is that this one is 1.
Yes.
So the one you are referring to is definitely not 0.
Indeed, Chair. That is the Chair. In fact, it should be 193, but it will mean that the file starts with 195, not 193 and 194.
Yes. Do you want to perhaps skip that issue, move on to another one, and then you can redirect us?
That's fine, Chair. If you testified, and I think you have in your statement, that when you had, quote unquote, exhausted all options, you informed Brigadier Nyuswa of this, and he's the one who came up with the idea that the exhibits be stored at Port Shepstone.
That is correct, Commissioner.
Did you know Port Shepstone was not a police station, but offices?
Yes, I was aware of that.
Can you tell the commissioners what you made of that advice and whether you thought it would comply with applicable prescripts to permit the storage of these drugs in such a facility?
Commissioner, I didn't know that they stored drugs at Port Shepstone. And when the brigadier did suggest Port Shepstone to me, or not suggest, did tell me that the drug should go to Port Shepstone, he also, I'm not sure whether in the same breath, but did remind me, do you recall, we stored Port Shepstone exhibits there previously, meaning Port Shepstone serious organized crime exhibits. And I couldn't recall, but I just said, when he said that, I said, oh, okay, or something like yes. But I wasn't aware that that was a viable option at that stage. It was then put to me by the brigadier.
Yeah, now we are talking to a seasoned colonel within the DPCI. Did you consider the suggested storage facility to be appropriate for these purposes?
When he did describe that it's a vault or a strong room, to me that was adequate. I didn't look further. I didn't think anything about their security issues. I had no knowledge of them having previous attempted break-ins or anything of that nature.
But was the security of the seizure not of paramount importance to you?
Yes, it was.
So you must have thought of that when you are advised to store it in an office that is not meant 24 hours. It's an office.
Yes.
So it was paramount. It was uppermost in your mind, but you didn't think of it when you now were being so advised.
This is an instruction coming from my brigadier. It's a
Sorry,
vault, it's a
you
strong
called
room.
it an instruction. It's an instruction.
I followed an instruction that I deemed lawful, Commissioner.
What view did you hold of that instruction?
At this stage, at that stage, I saw nothing unlawful about that instruction.
Commissioner Coleman?
Sorry to interrupt you. Annexure GYJ2 in the same file that has his statement. I see that.
The statement bundle.
Yes.
Yes, it's a statement bundle. Takes us to our SAP.
Yes.
SAP 13 entry.
The Isipingo one.
Isipingo, that's correct. Well, I'll come back to it, thank you. I was saying, you said technically Brigadier Nyuso was instructing you, not advising you.
Yes.
You are aware of the legal requirements for storage of exhibits of this nature. Did you appreciate that his instruction might be inconsistent with those prescripts?
I didn't consider that, Commissioner. I wasn't sure whether guards were going to be posted there, whether it was an interim measure at that stage. So I didn't protest. I didn't ask any further questions.
It's your seizure. Shouldn't you be assured that wherever it is stored, it remains safe at all times? Or you don't bother yourself with such detail?
No, this is my immediate commander, Commissioner. One would expect him to have those considerations also in mind. So I need not express it to him. It's a given. All of us know nobody wants drugs to get stolen. So coming from him, he's the one that instructed me that it must go to Port Shepstone. I didn't see at that time anything wrong with that location. Like I say, I knew nothing of its history. So I complied with that instruction, or I then relayed that instruction to Warrant Officer Pangase to ensure compliance.